Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, students and fellow physics enthusiasts. Here's another physics problem that checks your stock knowledge in static equilibrium as well as in stress and strain. So join me till the end of this video. Watch and learn. And here is the given problem. A 1.05 meter long rod of negligible weight is supported at its ends by wires A and B of equal length. See figure 1. The cross-sectional area of wire A is 2.00 millimeters squared and that of wire B is 4.00 millimeters squared. Young's modulus for wire A is 1.80 times 10 to the 11th power Pascal. That for wire B is 1.20 times 10 to the 11th power Pascal. What point along the rod should a weight W be suspended to produce, in part A, equal stresses in wires A and B, and in part B, equal strains in wires A and B? We are given the length of the rod, L equals 1.05 meters. The cross-sectional area, A sub A of wire A equals 2.00 millimeters squared. The cross-sectional area of wire B, A sub B equals 4.00 millimeters squared. Also, the Young's elastic moduli of the two wires, 1.80 times 10 to the 11th power Pascal and 1.20 times 10 raised to the 11th power Pascal for wires A and B, respectively. Our target variable in part A is the position X from wire A along the rod where a weight W should be suspended to produce equal stresses in wires A and B, and in part B, the position X from wire A where the weight W should be suspended to produce equal strains in wires A and B. So we apply here the concept of Young's elastic modulus, denoted by capital Y. So elastic modulus is, as you may all know, equal to stress divided by strain. And we also apply the two conditions of complete static equilibrium, that is, the summation of the forces along the y-axis must be equal to 0, and the summation of the torques, okay, about a chosen axis of rotation must also be equal to 0. Okay, so we are able to apply this two conditions of complete equilibrium, since the system, right, is neither in translational nor in rotational motions. In part A, our condition is that the stress in wire A must be equal to the stress in wire B. That is, T sub A divided by A sub A must be equal to T sub B divided by A sub B. And we can get the ratio T sub A over T sub B, which is equal to A sub A divided by A sub B. That is, the ratio T sub A over T sub B equals 2.00 millimeter squared divided by 4.00 millimeter squared, which is, or which leads us to this expression, right? T sub A, or the tension in wire A, is equal to 0.500, or that is 1/2 of the tension in wire B. Applying the equilibrium or static equilibrium condition for the forces acting on the rod, or vertical forces acting on the rod, okay, the vector sum of T sub A and T sub B, or the two tensions in wires A and B, must be equal to the weight W. So if we transpose and isolate the tension in wire B, T sub B becomes W minus T sub A. So substituting uh, this equivalent of T sub B, which is W minus T sub A, we come up with, okay, an expression for the tension in wire A, or T sub A is equal to 0.500 times quantity W minus T sub A. Moving on now to our computations. Okay. We apply the torque principle, and the equation here gives us the torques, the two torques acting on the rod. Okay, the left side of this equation represents the torque uh, that is caused by the tension in wire B. right? Earlier, we labeled that as T sub B, but we already replaced that by W minus T sub A. So W minus T sub A is the force T sub B. Notice that it is directed upward, vertically upward. And since our axis of rotation is the point where the weight W is suspended, a distance x, okay, from wire A. The length of the rod is given, which is 1.05 meters. So how far is this point or the axis of rotation from the line of action of the tension force T sub B? Okay, that distance is equal to 1.05 meters minus x. Okay, we call that the lever arm or the moment arm of the force T sub B. So that when we multiply the force T sub B or W minus T sub A by the lever arm quantity 1.05 meter minus x, we are talking about the torque that is produced by the force or the tension force T sub B, right? And you will notice that the tendency for the rod, if you're going to uh, exert that force T sub B, right, with the rod uh, fixed or pivoted at its axis of rotation, the tendency is for the rod to rotate counterclockwise. Okay? And since the rod remains in rotational equilibrium, there must be another torque, okay, that counteracts this particular torque now. And that is nothing but the torque that is produced by the other force to the left of the axis of rotation. And that is the term on the right side of the equation, right? The product of the force T sub A, or the tension in wire A, times its corresponding moment arm, which is the distance x, right? So they must be equal, right? The two torques have the same magnitude and they are opposite in direction. That's why when they are added vectorially, we say that the net torque acting on the rod remains zero. Hence, it is considered in rotational equilibrium. Right. So, we now expand or multiply uh, this term. We'll do that in just a little while. Okay. We first substitute T sub A has already been expressed to be equal to 0.500 times quantity W minus T sub A. This was presented earlier. So we just complete our our term on the right side of the equation, which is that will be multiplied by x, right? So notice that W minus T sub A is or appears in both sides of the equation. So might as well cancel it out, leaving behind 1.05 meter minus x equals 0.500 0.500x. Okay, so combining the two terms, negative x and 0.500x, our equation now becomes 1.05 meter equal to 1.50 times x. We just transpose negative x to the right side of the equation. All right? So it's now clear that the value of x is just equal to 1.05 meter divided by 1.50. And doing our math, we will get the value for x, which is 0.700 meters in three significant figures. All right? And x here is measured as the distance of the point where the weight W must be suspended, which is from wire A, or 0.700 meters from wire A. And that is our final answer to the question in part A. Moving on to the question in part B. Right. So the stress on wire A, which is equal to T sub A divided by uh, A of A, or the tension force on wire A divided by the cross-sectional area of wire A, can actually be expressed also in terms of the constant Young's elastic modulus, right? Capital Y of A multiplied by the corresponding strain on wire A, all right? But since it is stated in problem or in part B that the strains of the two wires must be the same or equal. So we consider the strain here as being constant. And we can, for simplicity, let it be equal to 1.00, right? So that we can express the tension in wire A or T sub A as being equal to the product of the cross-sectional area of wire A, already expressed in meters squared, 2.00 times 10 raised to the negative 6 meters squared, multiplied by the constant Young's elastic modulus of wire A, 1.80 times 10 raised to the 11th power Pascal, right? Pascal, which is also Newton per meter squared, right? When multiplied to the cross-sectional area, obviously the unit meter square cancels out. So our value for T sub A is just equal to 3.60 times 10 to the fifth power Newton. Okay? In three significant figures. Now, to determine the force or tension force T sub B, we also consider the stress on wire B, which is equal to T sub B divided by A sub B, which, just like in the case of wire A, it's also equal to the product of the Young's elastic modulus of wire B times its corresponding strain. Okay? But we can also consider the strain to be equal to 1.00, so that our expression for T sub B will just be equal to the cross-sectional area already expressed in meters squared, 4.00 times 10 raised to the negative 6 meters squared, okay, which when multiplied by the corresponding Young's elastic modulus of ORB, 1.20 times 10 to the 11th power Pascal, all right, when these two quantities are multiplied, we will get the value of the tension T sub B equal to 4.80 times 10 raised to the fifth power Newton, also in three significant figures. Just like in part A, we also apply the torque principle, okay? Considering the same point X as our axis of rotation, right? So we say that the torque that tends to cause clockwise rotation must be equal to the torque that tends to cause counterclockwise rotation of the rod, okay, with respect to the axis of rotation, point X. Right. 3.60 times 10 to the fifth power Newton. This is uh, the tension force T sub A, or the tension in wire A, right? Already computed earlier. And when we multiply it by its corresponding moment arm or lever arm, which is X, right? So the product, okay, constitute what we call the torque acting on the rod that causes it, or that tends to cause it to rotate clockwise, right? Since the force T sub A is directed vertically upward, and the axis is a distance x to the right of the line of action of this force. On the right side of the equation, of course, we have the torque, okay, that tends to cause the rod to rotate counterclockwise about the same axis of rotation, okay, at point X. So 4.80 times 10 to the fifth power Newton is the magnitude of the tension force T sub B directed vertically upward. When multiplied by its corresponding moment arm, right, expressed as 1.05 meter minus x, their product, okay, is the torque that tends to cause the rod to rotate counterclockwise. So they are equated because they have the same magnitude and opposite direction, right? For ease, we just canceled out 10 raised to the fifth contained on both sides of the equation. So on the left, we are left with 3.60 Newton times x, okay, equal to 4.80 Newton multiplied by quantity 1.05 meter minus x. And distributing 4.80 Newton to our terms inside the parentheses, we get 5.04 meter Newton, right? Minus 4.80 Newton times x. And when we transpose negative 4.80 Newton times x to the left side, this is what we get, right? 4.80 plus 3.60 gives us 8.40 Newton times x, right? Equated to 5.04 meter Newton. And obviously, we can get the value of x by dividing both sides by 8.40 Newton. And presto, we find the value of x equal to 0.600 meter in 3 significant figures as well. And x here is measured from wire A, just like in part A, right? And this is our final answer to the question in part B. So that's it. We are done. May I say, mabuhay tayong lahat. Kita-kits sa next episode. MashaAllah. Thank you very much for your indulgence. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Alhamdulillah.